Item number 7, bylaw reviews 2015. And there is we've got the thing here somewhere, attachment. Okay, Jane.
Right, I'll take the report as read. There's actually only one extra point I want to point out in regard to this. A typo has been spotted on 7/20 in the definition for skateboard. Instead of means a short, narrow wheeled device, it should be short wheeled. But any questions?
Any questions of Jane? It's also there's also a part 4 of the resolution is requiring some councillors to go onto the committee. Yep.
Oh, sorry, just a point, Jane. Also in 7/20, when it gives the definition of a skateboard, it actually says a skateboard.
Here we go.
Second
Another
one.
one.
Second one.
Thank you.
We bought some chocolate bars, shouldn't we? Councillor Cousins.
Chair, just querying in the 7/23, the map of no skateboard area. You put a skateboard park where it's called a car park, which is like kids just see that as a place run their skateboards over, and their little scooters. And they're always through there. I think we've really made that a problem for ourselves in the future. I was also questioning why Lake Taupo Forest Trust building was excluded from the mapping.
Sorry, the
Lake Taupo Forest Trust building
was excluded.
It's the grade.
So the maps were taken directly from the current bylaw. If you'd like them changed, we're happy to do so.
It's a commercial building. Every other commercial building, I'm sure they don't want skateboards running up and down their property either. I just thought,
So add it in.
Yeah.
You'd like, yeah. That one there.
Thank you, Councillor Cousins. Councillor Krasowski.
If I may just ask a couple of questions. Under the definition of skateboards, I noticed that there's a lack of kids' scooters. Is that a deliberate absence, or?
No, it's pretty much, if you would like, includes, absolutely happy to add it in.
My practical experience is that kids on skateboards and or rollerblades are every bit as of a nuisance in the CBD as kids on scooters. I don't know what the rest of the people think.
Yeah, effectively the definition covers them, but if you want it as sort of like information, that's absolutely, we can add that in.
My next point is on 7/20, point 17. We talk about a person must not consume, inject or inhale any psychoactive substance it should be on any reserve or public place. Why do we then go on saying that interferes with the safety? Why do we not just have a full point after place?
So the psychoactive substances definition is actually legal substances. It's not under the Misuse of Drugs Act. So it's things that will do something to you, but are not necessarily illegal substances. So pretty much we can't state that something that's legal, we can't say no without a reason. So that's why it interferes with somebody's bite on the actual reserve. So yeah, how do I explain this? Glue. Glue is effectively a legal substance. What they do with it is not necessarily a good thing. Messes with their minds. They do silly things, and then they could interfere with a person's right to use a reserve. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Don't necessarily agree with it.
Yeah, I know.
And
Okay.
my last point on
Yes.
7/28, where we talk about the residential environment. Does that imply that people could have animals, birds and bees by default in the CBD?
I will defer to the district planning expert.
Yes.
So should we include the exclusion zone of the CBD?
We can certainly bring in the Taupo town centre environment and the town centre buildings. Yes.
Yes.
Councillor Stewart? Sorry.
That's it.
Yeah.
So just wondering on that, what if someone had an apartment in the CBD, would that affect them?
We've just worked out yes,
Yeah, right, yeah,
so we're going to include the CBDs now.
yeah, thank you.
I'm sure Mr. Chairman, just if I can, just something to point out is for the minutes, on page 7/24 you've got a map of Mangakino there. Just for the minutes, I think we need to amend that map to not include the area where we're currently building a skate park.
It's there, it's already there. Are you in a black and white one? In the red it's quite clear. That nice little green bit is apparently where the skate park is. Yeah, it goes suddenly inwards.
Then we might need to modify it, have it slightly different.
Okay, not a problem. Again, that's exactly the same as the current bylaw.
Okay, thank you, Jane. Councillor Body.
Just some clarification on 7/13, right at the bottom, number 9. About soliciting for collection, donation or preaching. Now preaching means actually standing on a soapbox and preaching, but there's no law against someone standing and handing out pamphlets, is there?
Basically, that's what's currently in the current bylaw. We then have the administration of that particular part as Taupo Town Centre administer the actual bylaw.
But what I'm getting at, I can understand actively soliciting or preaching, but to stand and hand something out as people walk past, that wouldn't be against that bylaw, would it?
Again, they have to go for a licence and Town Centre Taupo administer that.
I thought that's a little bit contrary to what was brought up at the last meeting. So whether you're standing still handing it out or actively preaching, you still need the relevant consent from Town Centre.
Town Centre Taupo do administer this, so if you would wish me to change the bylaw, I'm happy to do so.
Well, I'm trying to break it down. If you're standing there in a stationary position handing something out, making no comments, or actively preaching.
So what you want to know, that you're allowed to do that or not?
I want to know whether you can
Yeah.
actively stand still and...
Good point, yep.
Yes. No.
Well, through the chair, we,
Councillor Williamson.
Councillor Lloyd, I personally know people who actually applied through Town Centre to obtain a licence have been declined under any circumstances, so we just wanted to clarify that, please.
Because what about people when they put stuff on windscreens going around town centre? You're not allowed to do that?
Two issues there, if I could just jump in.
Yes.
The first, just to be very clear on your point, Councillor Body, the bylaw is set up so that if you want to actively preach, then as it currently says in the bylaw, you need to seek a licence, and there's a process we've got for that, and we've given that process to Town Centre Taupo. If you want to simply stand on the corner with a pile of leaflets and hold them out towards people, then that wouldn't be preaching, and you wouldn't require a licence to do that under the current bylaw as it's drafted there.
Yeah, thank you, that clarified that.
In terms of the second point around the process that Town Centre Taupo goes through, that's a process that they administer. You as the body who ultimately has regulatory responsibility have the ability to provide them with guidance about how you'd expect that to take place, or you could obviously look at that regulatory role being dispensed by yourself.
Okay, Councillor Stewart.
Just a question on that bylaw, you're talking about Town Centre Taupo, that's for Taupo. In Turangi, we haven't got Town Centre Taupo doing that. Do they come to council? And how will that affect someone who's sitting outside collecting for the RSA or something like that? Do they have to go and get a licence from council?
Well, it's how I've written it. It's basically relevant approval, so just probably even a phone call.
Right, thank you.
The board, through you, Mr. Chairman, the board
Yeah.
needs to do that, as you're aware, so the items will come up to the board, and so you act as what Town Centre Taupo would.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Krastowski.
Just again, for clarification's sake, if there is a kid wanting to play outside wood cools on his harmonica or whatever, what is the procedure under the proposed thing?
Well, yes, they go to Town Centre Taupo for approval to play music or everything. Town Centre Taupo are basically administering this particular regulatory function under this particular bylaw.
Through Mr. Chairman, what Town Centre Taupo will do is understand the nature of the proposed busking, if you like. They will consult with the businesses around the proposed site and make sure that they're happy, because obviously there's some potential conflict with noise and stuff like that. They'll attach any necessary conditions around amplification and other things, and then issue the licence. And then they have a monitoring complaints-based follow-up if needed.
The point, I guess, that or the logical conclusion to that is that how will kids know or people know what the procedure is going to be?
So it's on the website, so on both council and Town Centre Taupo is here on the website about who to apply for the licence. To be honest, usually Town Centre, as long as those issues are taken care of, are quite proactive about trying to get people there. In fact, over the summer months, as an example, they actively pay people to be there rather than have people come and approach them. So, to date it hasn't been a concern.
And what's their phone number so I can contact them?
Do you want to do a recital there? All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, any other questions of Jane and Nick? Just so what we're seeking is 3 councillors for this ad hoc committee.
How many do you want?
Yeah, how many of you want? Yeah. Okay, any volunteers? Councillor Jollins? Thank you. Councillor Stewart? Good.
I don't mind doing
Yeah. Okay. Councillor Krasowski?
It's over to you.
We can have
it.
You have more than 3?
What's involved? There'll be a hearing, so hearing and decision, so you're probably looking a day or 2 top.
in February.
Okay,
Oh,
so
March.
so Councillor Krastowski, Stewart, Body and Jollins? And Cousins?
What's the one?
Fine.
That's going to be too many. I'll pull out.
Okay. All right. Everyone happy with that?
So who have we got now?
No different council than the size of the free committee, which does a similar thing, so why can't it be 5?
Can be as many as you want.
Yeah, why not?
If you want to do it, Janet.
I think we need you there, Bernard.
Oh, really? I'll be basking.
Okay, so Councillor Krastowski, Stewart, Cousins, Body, Jollins. Okay, all right. Move the resolution there. You can see, moved by Councillor Cousins, seconded by Councillor Krastowski. Those names added in. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried.